Hi guys, Ashley with Amare. So today let's talk about recovery houses. First of all, I want to start off by saying we are not a recovery house. Amare Healing Arts is a plastic surgery recovery center. So what is the difference? Well, there's a big difference. So recovery houses you stay in directly after surgery. They're usually like a huge thing in Miami, so that you guys aren't staying on your own. They usually have some sort of a nurse on staff. They get you your meds. They take care of your laundry. You sleep there. They feed you. It's like a whole thing. We are a plastic surgery recovery center. So we are kind of like, think about it like outpatient, whereas a recovery house is like inpatient. So you come in after surgery whenever you can get in, and we do your lymphatic drainage, we take care of your incisions, we get you set up with all your aftercare stuff for at home. We don't go home with you. Recovery houses are generally in Miami. So I get lots of questions about recovery houses all the time. So let's start with, yes, recovery houses can be necessary, but you don't really need them. So if you're traveling on your own, if you don't have anybody to support you, if you're staying for, a couple weeks or more than like 2 or 3 days, yeah, you might want to look into a recovery house. It would be a lot easier for you as far as like getting your meds and things like that. You'd have a little bit more help and assistance. So there's that. There are a few good recovery houses that we know, but let's talk about, because everybody has tons of things go wrong. First of all, they can be very, very expensive, upwards of $3,000 for like 4 days, 5 days. It depends. They can be really, really expensive. So you want to make sure that you're choosing one that you're really comfortable with and one that you know is going to do right by you. And we're going to talk about the things to look for in a little bit too. But recovery houses are not a bad thing. They're very, very useful if you find a really good one. The most important thing and the reason you'd want a recovery house is to have the extra help. Someone to wash your garment and get your meds and make sure you're doing that, having all that support, and having proper food. Now, here is the big problem that I've seen with 90% of recovery houses. It's chock full of salt. It's crap food. They're giving you Gatorade, which is chock full of salt, which you should not be having. You should be having no salt at all, especially immediately after surgery. I know people who've told me that the recovery houses don't pick up their meds on time, or don't pick them up at all, or don't do the refills, or don't drive them when they need to go to the store, or don't wash their garments properly, or wash their garments in some sort of a detergent that makes them break out. A lot of sketchy things can happen. The biggest thing about recovery houses, and guys, I say this all the time, recovery is your responsibility. The biggest thing about the recovery houses is the massages. I have about 5 videos at this point, if not more, talking about what is a real lymphatic massage. The squeezy crap is not a lymphatic massage. Cutting open your incisions is not a lymphatic massage. Fluid gushing out of your body is not a lymphatic massage. It being painful is not a lymphatic massage. The latest thing that I've heard from a recovery house is that they had, it was in Miami, and they had 2 therapists. One of them was doing real hands-on MLD. The other one was doing the squeeze massage, and they were from the same association or the same service that provides these massages, but they were completely different. So there's no quality control. You really don't know what you're getting unless you specifically do your research and request specifically what you need, which is actual hands-on lymph drainage that is extremely gentle. Again, tons of videos on that. Go back and watch them if you don't know what I'm talking about. But that is the biggest thing to be afraid of with the recovery houses, because they will tell you they do lymphatic massage, and if you don't ask the questions, and if you're not sitting there and being like, okay, well, what kind of lymphatic massage do you do? What exactly does it entail? What is the actual process? They love to throw them in for $60, $40, $30, $80, and it's the squeeze massage crap that you're crying in pain, and it's just a nightmare. So number one thing with recovery houses is if they're offering lymphatic massage, even at your surgeon's office in Miami, even at your surgeon's office in New York, if they're offering lymphatic massage, make sure it's not a machine, make sure it's not a squeezy person, make sure it's an actual therapist, manual lymphatic drainage, MLD therapist, not a nurse, not a practitioner, not a dermatologist, not any of those things, an actual certified person who knows the technique and knows what they're doing. So that's number one. No matter where you're getting it, the doctor's office or the recovery house, just make sure you know that they are certified and doing actual hands-on lymph drainage. Okay, so enough about that. Other things that happen at the recovery house. Well, they're supposed to pick you up at the airport. They're supposed to drop you off at the airport. They're supposed to pick you up from surgery, drop you off from surgery. So they're good for transportation. They're also good for having a place to sleep. They're also supposed to be experienced in dealing with things like if you have to go back to the doctor, or like I said, administering your meds, things like that, making sure that you're getting things on time. Some recovery houses I've seen will try to fit you for a faja and try to squeeze you into the tightest garment possible on the planet. please be careful with that. That is not safe. If it doesn't go on easy, if it doesn't feel comfortable and you're like super, super uncomfortable in it and they have to like lay you down and like hoist you into it and really like get the snaps on all the way, it's not worth it, guys. Don't. Wait till you get back here. Come see us. We do virtual. So even if you purchase a garment from them, we can tell you how it's supposed to fit. Our post-op course, which I am still continually working on, I'm hoping to launch it by April, late April, early May. That is when it should be, ready to go. But in there, we have an entire module on how to fit for yourself for a garment, how to know what it's supposed to fit like, how to measure yourself for a garment, how to know what kind of garment you need. All these things are covered in that course. So that's pretty cool. Take a look at that. But definitely be aware of the garment situation, guys. Also, I know people who have come to me complaining about the sleeping thing. If you can't sleep on your stomach, if you can't sleep on your back, whatever, due to the lipo, tummy tuck, BBL, whatever you have, breast augmentation, whatever it is, I know a lot of recovery houses that don't accommodate for that. They'll just kind of, you'll be in your room and you'll have to sleep face down and figure it out. Drains. I know some recovery houses that'll tell you they'll take out your drains for you. Guys, even though your doctor says cut the stitch and pull the drain out, if you can, please have a nurse or someone do it. There are a lot of people in these recovery houses that are not nurses, that are not doctors, that are not actual therapists doing this stuff and just snipping things and pulling them out of you. It's so dangerous if they don't know what they're doing. And just because they do it does not mean they know what they're doing, guys. Just because it's been done for years does not mean it's being done properly. Again, beware of what's going on. If something doesn't feel right while you're out there, come back home early. Even if your doctor's like, oh, I need to get your drain out, and get your drain out and come back home. I've known people that will sign up for a recovery house for 7 days. They will call me because they'll see me pre-op. They'll call me on day 3 and be like, yo, there's like all these things going on that are like everything against what you said. You were totally right. What do I do? And I'm like, go to a hotel room. You don't need that much help at this point. You're 3 days out. You can get get a new garment or wash your garment by hand in the bathroom. Like, you can manage on your own after a couple days. Some people like to stay longer. That's totally fine if you find a good place. We are currently establishing relationships with recovery houses to refer out to for you guys, because it is such a big question that I get asked all the time is, what do I do? Where do I go? The other thing you need to be careful of, like I said, is the food. If they're making arroz con pollo and they're putting tons of salt in it and using adobo and everything, obviously don't eat the food. If they're giving you chips and crackers and Doritos and all kinds of crap that is chock-loaded with salt, do not eat the food. Go to the local groceries, go to the 7-Eleven and get yourself some fruit if you have to. I have heard some horror stories and seen some things. So just make sure that they're not cooking, and not low sodium. They love to get away with the low sodium. No sodium at all, period. The end. Zero salt at all, because you will be draining through your incisions, which is actually you leaking, and that's not supposed to happen. And if you're leaking out of an incision like that because it's open, you've had way too much salt and you gotta stop. So the food, guys, please, I know it tastes good, but please monitor the food and be careful. That is also another thing. Other things with recovery houses, like I said, them not speaking English because it's predominantly Spanish. That will happen in DR, that will happen in Colombia. Another thing, if you can't read what's in your meds, I would be very weary of that and ask your doctor what it is. I've had people come to me with meds that are completely in Spanish, and we don't know if they're an antibiotic, we don't know if they're an anti-inflammatory, we don't know if they're a diuretic, we have no idea what they are because you can't read it. And a lot of times in the recovery houses, they're Spanish, and you can't communicate with them very well. So again, make sure when you're vetting recovery houses, you're asking all of these questions and you're super comfortable. Everything should be super transparent. Also, guys, the condition of the recovery house. I have seen people put on blast on Instagram because there's roofs leaking and half the place is closed and the recliners are all busted up. And then I've seen some really, really nice ones where it looks like a regular furnished house and everybody's just hanging out and it's really, really nice. So I'm not saying recovery houses are bad. There are a lot of good ones. And like I said, we're currently developing relationships with the ones that I would recommend. And I'm going to put that in the course as well so you guys have a reference if you are going out of the country or out of the state. But even when you come back from the recovery house, guys, you still have to see us. You still have to keep up with everything you're doing. So even if you do book a recovery house and it's not the best as you'd like it to be, or it's not the most up to date or whatever, and the care is not what you need it to be, and you skip your massages out there because they're that squeezy crap that's not healthy for you, then you can still come and see us. It's not a big deal. You mostly need a recovery house, and you mostly need the importance of a recovery house for proper meals, washing your garment, getting your meds and making sure you have them on time, and all those things that you need help with, like getting around, getting to your doctor's appointment, things like that. Someone to kind of just watch over you and make sure you're okay, especially if you're alone. That is super helpful. Now, I know a lot of recovery houses that'll make you guys the green juice that we have on our like website and on our email post-op stuff, like the recipe that I give you guys. I know recovery houses that'll make that for you guys if you ask them. They're really, really accommodating, and they're really, really good. They tend to be a lot more expensive. So as with surgery, as with recovery, do not go cheap. The cheaper option is not the best here. We don't want to skimp on something like that, because you don't want to wind up in a situation where you're stuck out there, or you're in DR, or you're in Colombia, or wherever you are, and the recovery house doesn't speak English, and you can't get your meds, and it's a mess. I know people that have gone literally after BBL tummy tuck lipo, the whole thing, without pain meds for like 6 days, because they just didn't have any. The recovery house didn't pick them up. The prescription never got filled. They're supposed to have this stuff before you get out of surgery, guys. This is supposed to be taken care of. That's the point of paying for a recovery house. So if you're not doing that, take your best friend, take your parents, take your spouse, whatever. Find somebody to go with you for surgery and stay in a hotel and have somebody that's doing all these things, because you're going to be paying just as much at the recovery house. And worst case scenario, I've heard things getting stolen. I've had, like slaughterhouse girls screaming all night, people not being able to sleep from that, people sleeping on cots because there are no beds, like all kinds of crazy things I've heard, guys. Just please be careful. But again, if you find a really good recovery house, like, yeah, they're really good, and it's really, really good benefit to you. And some of them will have actual manual lymphatic drainage, hands-on therapists that do gentle, true manual lymph drainage there. Now, another thing these recovery houses love to do is the tape method. Guys, you should not be getting the tape method done at least until a week after. Tape method causes fibrosis. The tape method is holding your skin, it's keeping it in one place, and it's causing fibrosis and stagnation under your skin. The point of hands-on true manual lymph drainage is so that your skin is moving the whole time. We want your skin to move. In your garment, we want your skin to be able to breathe and move with the foams. We want your skin to be able to move against the foams and be comfortable. If your skin is being held tight and constricted like that, you're in a garment. You don't need the tape method. The tape method is not for that. And people in Miami are doing it left, right, and center at these recovery houses because it helps get snatched. Guys, that's not how that works. It helps get snatched because they'll do that, then they'll cut open your incision, they'll break through you, and they'll cause lots of thick fibrous scar tissue. And then 2 or 3 weeks down the line, you're in my office because you got all this fibrosis everywhere. And it worked for a little while, and then it got worse. So please be aware of the tape method. The only time you should need the tape method is if you did not get a tummy tuck and you needed one, or you have a little bit of loose skin and you need it to tighten up and pull back. That is the only time you will use the tape method, and that is in a very, very, very rare case, and that is for loose skin only. That is not for lipo. That is not for a tummy tuck. You don't have loose skin after a tummy tuck. You've been cut, it's been pulled, you're fine. That is not for lymph drainage. Tape method is not for lymph drainage. That is not how that works. I have tons of videos on how it works, guys. Go watch them. But again, be careful of what they're trying to sell you on in these recovery houses, because they will try to sell you on everything, and they will try to do all these extras and all these add-ons for everything, guys. Find yourself a simple recovery house. Find yourself someplace that's going to do transportation, meals, prepping, meds, and garment washing, and all the support stuff. Don't do all the extra stuff. It is not necessary. Especially if you're coming back here and seeing us, it is not necessary. That's really all I have to say. I mean, like I said, I've met some really, really nice recovery house places. I've seen some really good ones on Instagram. We try to shout them out. We try to share them. I'm definitely compiling a list for you guys. It'll be in that post-op course. And if you have questions about, like, if you are flying out and you're coming back and you don't want to stay in a recovery house, and if it's necessary, and if maybe you are staying in a hotel and you're like, all right, what do I need? That's what our virtual pre-op sessions are for. I will walk you through everything. I will talk to you about everything. I will make sure you are completely informed on everything, and that you have all the information you need before you leave, so that you do have some sort of a recovery plan for while you're out there and for when you get back, to have a nice, easy transition. But that's what recovery houses are for, is to have that nice, easy transition from surgery to recovery and then coming home. So guys, I hope this was helpful. If I missed anything about recovery houses, if you have any questions about recovery houses or things that they do there, or your experience that you want to share with me, things that you want us to shout out, if you know of any really good recovery houses that you want us to shout out, things like that, please DM them to us. Our girls, our scheduling coordinators at the front desk, check the Instagram. They handle the DMs. They'll be able to check that out for you. If you have questions that you need to be answered about recovery houses, you can always book a virtual consult with me. The girls can't answer any questions about that. You have to have a session directly with me, and they can help you get set up with that and give you information on it if you need. So it was nice to talk to you guys. This is a little bit of a shorter video, which is cool. And I will see you guys hopefully soon. And that course should be coming out soon, so it's very exciting. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.